welcome back to the RePHIL studio. Get your cans ready. It's RePHIL to 99 as we always do for this set. And this time around, I have the honor and pleasure to welcome Sunny and Matsuri as our special guests today for this episode. As a brief intro for both of them, Sunny has quite a few T10 titles, I believe 4 in total, and also a T2 in the This Is an Idol Saga event. Matsuri is a returning guest who has, as a reminder, had 3rd place in the, I believe, the Summer Slow Summer event, if I hopefully did that, because I remember I messed up your intro the first time. I'm not going to say too much more so that I'm not going to mess it up this time.
You're fine.
But welcome to both of you, and thank you for joining the RePHIL studio today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
All right. So again, I'm going to ask this again. Hopefully I didn't botch up the intro, or maybe if there's anything else I missed about the intro.
No, I think that was okay.
All right. I passed.
You got me fine.
Okay, we passed this time. All right, we good.
Yeah.
We good. So again, to Sunny, for you, this is your first time in the RePHIL studio. So for all of our special guests, just kind of start things off. We always ask them about their origin story, how they first got into the game and into the series. So maybe share a little bit more about how you first heard about Bang Dream and how did you get into the series.
So I started rhythm games and just in general, like tap games in 2014 with School Idol Festival. And then I played it for quite some time, 8 years. In 2018, I came across Bang Dream while I was just browsing the App Store and decided to download it. I think if I remember correctly, it was the Scarlet Sky event. I think it was called As Evening Clears or something. The Rand banner. And I do remember getting the Mocha 4-star, and I was so excited about that. I played for a couple events, and then I kind of forgot about the game, and then came back to it in winter break in 2018. And the banner at the time was the Eve banner, the New Year's Eve banner. And I forgot my transfer code and lost my account.
Oh, no.
So I had to get a new account. I got an account with the Eve in it, and that has been my account since then. And I've just been playing since then. Haven't really tiered competitively until 2020 when I decided to go for T100 in June Bride, and that was my first T100. And it was a VS Live, so I pubbed it. I was pretty nervous because at the time I was working as well, and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to do this? And I ended up just playing and then going to sleep and then waking up the next day and seeing that I was number 99. I don't think I've had a scare quite like that before.
Wow.
And then at that time I was just lurking in Pubcord, but I came across some people and then joined a GC and a bigger server. And then in that server, in the server portal was Matsu and Kit's server, the Summer Slow Summer server. And then I joined the server and I got, I became friends with them, and the rest just goes from there.
Well, there's quite a bit of an origin story, not only to just get into the game, but also being able to join the community, meet with your now to be great friends like Matsuri right now. So that's really cool. Matsuri, I don't know if you recall or remember that fateful meeting when you were touring that. Do you care to share a bit more about what you remember?
Yeah, definitely. Slow Summer was great because I was tearing it with Kit and alongside a couple other friends too, like Al and Kanako, and we were cheering that event. And then I had a couple people come in and just like kind of spend a lot of time with me that I didn't really know or I wasn't really too close to. And Sai or Sunny was one of those people. And it was her, Noodle, which I think you've had on your podcast before. And then Sammy, I don't believe that she goes by Umicorn. Those three were like three people that kind of just stuck by me the whole event, and they like filled a lot for me and hung out with me a lot in BC. And we kind of just hung out together, like watched movies and stuff during the event, but I didn't know them too well before then. And I was so glad for that, because I don't know, I guess it seems, I mean, it was a while ago, but relatively speaking, in my Bandori career, it was like late in my Bandori career. So for me to be making new friends like that, it was kind of surprising for me. But that's another reason why that event is so special to me, because I was able to take away, several now people that I consider to be my best friends. So
it's very great to hear. That's very great to hear. Again, like the support system, just, I think that's a really interesting part, especially if you're going for like a really high title. You really need a lot of people to help you and support you throughout your tiering adventure. And there could be some people, right, like that you never really met with before in the past, but, they're all working together for a common goal. And that really shows, the support and be able to learn more from them and be able to grow nice connections and friendships there. Sunny, I don't know if you remember, like, what was your initial impression of Matsuri? Like, it's like, wow, this person's going for T3. Like, wow, this is crazy. Like, what do you think?
I remember being so intimidated at first. Not because, this person's going for a huge title. It was just because it was my first time actually interacting with people outside the server that I was in, and I kind of like built like a comfort zone there. And it was also my first time just trying VC. So
wow, what a first time!
First time everything.
Honestly, Slow Summer was really, really memorable. And yeah, well, at the beginning, I was really nervous, and there were things that I still remember, but I can't really disclose.
Yeah, no need to disclose things you don't want to.
No, I know. But honestly, like without Slow Summer, I wouldn't be here today. And I'm really glad that I took that leap of faith and decided to go out of my comfort zone and make new friends in the community.
For sure. Yeah. And that's the great part about the community. Obviously, the Bandori community there's a lot of there's a lot of splits and divisions in the community. It's a very big, relatively big community, but there's like the tiering aspect. There's like the exchanging accounts community. That's a strange one in my opinion. But I'm not going to say too much about them. They have what they want to do, and there's others who are like super fascinated with like maybe like the seiyus in particular. But yeah, with the tiering community in particular, it's definitely a very unique bonding experience when you're working together to just do the same thing over and over again, but to try and pass time to do that. It's quite interesting. So it's great to hear that, Sunny, you were able to take that leap of faith, be able to join the community from just going into the game a little passively, right? Like starting the game and then not touching it for a while and then coming back in again. That's honestly like not the first time. Like most people do that, myself included. Like I played it for a bit, stop, and then once you really kind of get into it, you really get into it. So Sunny, is a quick question. When you first started the game, did you have like a favorite character or band that like really like sucked you in, and did that change as time went? In terms of your favorite character and band in the series?
Yeah, my first one was Mocha. And I remember in the first account that I got, I had the Mocha 4-star, and I was trying my best to get all the Mocha cards, and then I ended up losing the account. But after I got the Eve account, this account, I pretty much have all of the Eve cards except for Bushido Eve and I think second Dreamfest. But it definitely did change because in the beginning I was really into Afterglow, And Passpare was like my third favorite band. But now Passpare is my first, and Roselia and Hello Happy are my second. So things have really changed, yeah.
Well, that's very good. That's very cool to hear. Again, you know, it's interesting to hear when like people's, I guess their favorite characters, favorite bands change as time goes, when they really get to learn more about the story, learn more about the characters and such, right? So it definitely makes sense, and that's definitely, you know, part of the reason why eventually we'll talk about near the end about your T2, Sunny. You know, another Pastel Palettes event. Matsuri, I don't think, you know, between now and then, things have changed with your favorite character. I'm pretty sure it's still...
No, they have not. It's been Kaoru since the beginning.
I don't remember if when we last spoke, like, was the second Kaoru banner already revealed as well, like the Phantom Thief one? I know the Aspara one was revealed already, but I don't remember if the Phantom Thief Kaoru was also revealed during our podcast, but...
I don't think that it was.
Yeah. So,
which is like insane that happened. I felt like I was dreaming.
like after like 3.5 years, like wow, literally. Not one but two. That's
hopefully
crazy. Maybe three. Maybe three. We do need an Eve banner. She is kind of lacking in that department. So. Yeah, but maybe in the future.
Summer too.
Yeah. True. That's probably why. Yeah. So good. So, you know, Sunny, you also mentioned how, like, you know, you first got into the game and played relatively casually, and then you eventually kind of did that, like, you know, that T100, right? You mentioned very briefly how you were doing the June Bride event. It was a VS Live, doing it all by yourself. You know, first of all, what kind of convinced you that tiering was something you wanted to do for this game?
Pubcord. At the beginning, I was really intimidated by tiering. I just thought that it was very time consuming, and I didn't have the resources, and I was still like a student at the time. So I was
I mean, all of those things are true.
But that's true. But I guess I just didn't. At the time, I thought it was a big deal, like sitting and just tapping away in the screen for 7+ hours a day. Now I don't really think that is a lot. But back then, yeah, I thought it was a lot. And I was casually like tiering like T 2.5K and T5K. So I still have titles from like back in NFO1 and Picker Escape and the other events as well, like in 2019. But yeah, it was Pubcord because it was around the time where I started to want to actually get into the community, and I started asking questions like how tiering goes, and people there are really helpful. So yeah, I realized, you know, I have a good team, and Eve was my best girl at the time, and she still is. And I was like, you know what? I'll go for a T100, and I did.
Oh, wow, that's really, really great to hear. You know, it's a nice, refreshing breath, like a breath of fresh air when, you know, you have, because generally Pubcord, I would say, you know, again, for those who are unaware, it's the official Bang Dream Discord server by the series and franchise. You know, generally have like relatively positive to like neutral sort of stories about Pubcord. That's a really cool story to hear that Pubcord was like, you know, very helpful for you in that first tiering experience, Sunny. There's obviously, you know, and that's just for any server. There's always going to be some like notorious, you know, stories about various servers, but it's very, like, again, as I said, refreshing that Pubcord was able to help you in that case and be able to sort of motivate you to tier and maybe influence you to do more than just that, you know, more tiering after. So
yeah, it's interesting to hear, because around the time that you would have done that T100, I believe that Pubcord was going through the transition of becoming off-court official court.
Yeah.
And, you know, because it wasn't always the official Bandori Discord server. It was truly Pubcord. And it's interesting to hear different things about it from different points in time.
Yeah, definitely. Like before it became official versus like what happens after, and when it really grows exponentially, when they're saying, oh, this is like the official one, right? And you share it on social media, you get some really cool people joining, some interesting people joining.
Interesting.
But like I remember when I saw like a post from Bushiroad Global that they're like, yo, we now have an official Bang Dream server, so please join, guys. I'm like, okay, let's join it. And then I click and I'm like, wait, I'm already in it.
Yeah.
So that was weird. That was a weird time for me. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess they made an unofficial server the official one. So
that's interesting to hear on your end as well, that you like, I guess at the time I had been like, I was aware of like what was going on, because the community as well as the tiering community has grown tremendously, and also people are coming into it, and then people are kind of not fading out in a bad sense, but just kind of like, indulging in like other interests and stuff, and, not like tiering on Bandori as heavily.
For sure.
So it's interesting to hear that you just like one day woke up, you're like, oh, this is it.
Yeah. Because I never really used Discord all too much back then. And, I joined Pubcord, but I was really there to just kind of lurk, and I never really paid much mind to like the gaming sections of Pubcord at that time either, because I wasn't really too much of tiering. So I didn't really pay too much mind on the Discord. So when they they announced it was official, I was like, oh, okay, well that's neat, I suppose. So yeah, but there's a fun Pubcord origin story for you all. So again, maybe those listening, or maybe you're listening on YouTube, maybe have some interesting Pubcord stories to share, maybe before it was official or after. So anyway, so moving on, and I just want to add a little bit more to that, because Sunny, when you got your T100, that was like, obviously I imagine, a really big achievement. When did you decide that you were ready to get your first like major title? And major title, I imagine that would be like a T10. So what sort of convinced you that you wanted to get your first maybe T10? Why did you choose that particular event? And what did you do to sort of like prepare for an event like that?
Influenced by all of my friends. So our current
slander.
Our current friend group, we all have T10 titles and above. I think we have a couple T3s as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? That sounds really fun, because Slow Summer was such a good experience to me. I wanted to get a similar experience, and timing wise, I was looking for an event that aligned with one of my breaks, because with the university program that I was in, I did not get summers off because I would be doing internships or studying. So I'd only get 2-week breaks between semesters. And so I was like, okay, what is an event that has Eve and aligns with the winter break, or, the summer break, or whatever? Couldn't find one that was close, and I saw that there was Viva Live, and that it would be around the time where spring break starts. And it was a gamble, because it had to be right after my final exams, because if it's between or during my final exams, I wouldn't be able to tier. And also, Matsu was tiering it, and Hobie as well. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do this. And Viva La Live had all of the leaders in it, and the story was really good. I really enjoyed it. And so I felt like as a first T10, it felt right, because I did want to do a backstage pass before. It's just the timing just never worked, because they're always in March or April, like when my exams would start. So I felt like this was close to backstage pass, and I was like, you know what, this is going to be my first T10. Preparing, I remember just going to Walmart, buying all the snacks that I could get, and making sure I had no commitments for like a week, it ended up being longer than a week because every event
sure
that Matsu tears, every event that Matsu tears is more than 9 days. Like, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It is a thing. Anything I decide to tier at least is 9 days long.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I was like, okay, I need to make sure I don't have commitments for those 9 to 11 days. And so bought a lot of snacks. I did meal prep, did all of my chores that I needed to get done. And it was easy because I live alone. So don't really have anyone to come in and knock on the door and distract me while I'm tapping or anything like that. So yeah, it was just that. And I tried energy drinks at the time. They didn't work for me. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, so I can only drink a quarter cup of coffee, and that's it.
Oh.
That lasts me 24 hours.
I remember during Viva, she's telling me, she's like, "Oh, I got my little Starbucks like cold drink, you know, whatever." She's
cold,
like, "It's a fourth gone," and I'm like, "What?"
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a very low caffeine tolerance level. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Whatever for you, you know?
Yeah. No, like I've heard of people burning out because they just have been drinking like so many energy drinks and coffee. And you know what? Maybe that worked for me because honestly, I was fresh like during the whole entire event. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. And again, the fact that you were able to, tier with friends, right? Once you made friends in the community, and then, there's some whale fluence involved and such. But, that's the great part about tiering as well, right? You're working together with people that you're familiar with and you consider great friends with, and, working together in that aspect really does help, pass the time and support each other, emotionally and such. So it makes a lot of sense there. I don't remember, Matsuri, if we did too much talk about Viva Alive. I believe there was some brief talk about it. Everyone got their goals, right? Right?
Yeah, so definitely. It was, I don't know, we definitely talked about it in passing. I don't know if we, talked about it further, but so basically the situation that was happening was a homie was going for first, and Soren and I wanted to support him. And so we were like, we'll be your podium. But like I did want to tier the event because I don't know how many people know this, but that event, Viva Live, it was a Bandori event that was based off of the real live event that was like the all bands Bandori live event, like actually taking place in Japan, like with all the seiyuu and everything. And I won Chusen for that. And then with COVID, it kept getting canceled, rescheduled over and over again, because this was like I think it was 2020 live, something like that.
Yep.
And it was super old, but it was like the first time that all the bands and like all the at least the main vocalists, like from the different bands, but like Rosilia, Popipa, Ross, like all of them were going to be together, and Morphonica as well. And so I was planning a Japan trip for that to go see that, but it kept getting canceled or rescheduled and canceled and rescheduled. And so when Viva came out, I was just like, well, damn, if I can't go, like, maybe this can be like something I do for that, because I was super excited for that event. But then obviously I'm pretty sure it still has not happened.
It hasn't happened, but it's going to happen, I think, very soon. I think it's like later this year, pretty sure.
Because literally I just got an email the other day about it. And I'm like, this is so crazy. Yeah, this is crazy. But yeah, I just, and then with their restrictions in the country, with like tourism and everything, it's just, so that was really upsetting for me. But I mean, what can you do? So I wanted to tier the event because of that, because I was like, oh, this is an event based off of that. It's super cool. And then when I saw Homie was going for first, and like Soren was going to support him, I was like, okay, I'm in. That's all I need, like, all right, cool.
For sure.
And so like in terms of podium, my main goal was to help Homie secure his goal. But I just like wanted T10 in general. If I got podium, that was cool. If I didn't, I was happy with my T10. And so yeah, and then Sai ended up wanting to go for it too. So that was, great. That was an event that I ended up, getting to cheer with a couple of good friends on top of it having that meaning behind it as well.
For sure. Yeah, I didn't hear about the Chusen story for sure. So that was pretty. It's like a bit blurred, right? Like, you got the Chusen, which was so cool, but the fact that like you just couldn't go, and now it's probably gonna happen without you. It's just so unfortunate.
I know, it really is, but I mean, it's just what can you? I don't know. It's just the situation we're in, so it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, but at least you got yourself a nice JPEG that says podium, and that's a pretty good consolation prize, I suppose. So
I think the best I was gonna get.
Well, again, to both of you, thanks for sharing a really awesome story about which ended up being another podium for you, Matsuri, and your first T10 title, Sunny. So big props and shout outs to both of you there. Yeah. So Matsuri, in our last podcast, I did do a little bit of research on what we discussed about. Near the end of your episode, you talked about how you had initial plans to probably maybe tier for Terrible Horror Night. I don't know if that went through. Did that happen?
I think I played like one day of that event at the beginning, and I played a lot like the first day, and then I just was like, because I love anything with like a horror or spooky aesthetic, and Rosalia is my favorite band, so I was like, oh, this event's super cool. But I played like a day of that event, and I just was like slammed with IRL stuff, like school and everything. And I wasn't in a tiering server for that event. I was kind of like, my friends were helping me when they could, but everyone else was kind of busy IRL. And so then I didn't have a server, and then I didn't have the energy to pub. And so then I just didn't play. But that event would have been, I think it was a first, because that was around when the new titles came out.
Yes, the T50s, I think. Yeah,
it was like T50s, and then like the different tiers. So I did end up getting a title that I never had before because of like how much I played the first day. So that was like kind of cool that I still got a new takeaway from that event. Like I got something, a memento from that.
Yeah, it's honestly quite inspiring to hear, Matsuri, because I know in our episode you talked about a bunch of the fact that you got voted in some events, and like some events maybe not went as well as initially expected because of course IRL stuff. But what can you do? IRL things are always the most important, but you always have some kind of takeaway from it. It's like, well, maybe this didn't happen, but at least I got something from here. And for a lot of maybe tiers, when they get voted or when they don't get the title they want, they get really discouraged and maybe just don't touch the game ever again. But I think you take it a different spin, and I think it's really neat to see that and just be like, yeah, well, I still got a really interesting title, a new title from that. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I just, every time I tier, or this is how I've always been, it's like, it's more about, it is about the experience for me. And so like every tiering experience I have is just like, my own personal like takeaway. And it's like, I have this, collection of these experiences that like most are spent with friends and everything, or, but it's also, you get something like that every once in a while, which like, oh, I've been tiering for so long, like, I've been playing the game for so many years. And so it still is exciting to me to, I guess, get something new like that, something that I haven't had before, just because when you've been playing the game for a while, a new experience like that, I think is still valuable.
I definitely am on this side of, tiering being a lot about the experience, maybe not necessarily the title at the end. I know a lot of people really value that title because it could be a very pretty title, and it also shows like to the world that, this is what I got, this is my achievement, right? Where, a lower title may be a little bit more shared or dispersed, so it's kind of hard to share exactly the story of the tiering experience. But I do agree as well that the experience overall, I think, is well worth, and a lot more to me personally than, the title itself. Whatever title I ended up getting, I would probably personally feel really accomplished with it. Then again, I haven't really attempted a podium before, so maybe that thought might change. But I think that's how I kind of feel about tiering personally. It's really about the experience. The title is nice and all, but I think whatever you take away from that is something that I think is much more valuable personally. Yeah, Sunny, I don't know if you agree with that. When you tier yourself, is the priority for you like also related to the title? Is it the experience? Maybe like a mix of both?
Definitely the experience more than the title for me. At the end of the day, what I can take away from the event for me is the experience. The title is a bonus. But there are some events where like I really want to show how much I am, say, like I love a character or a band. But like, and some events are like special, like for example the Hello Happy collab event. I was 10th place for that one. Oh wait, was I 6th?
That's a pretty big gap. 6 and 10.
Some even number, because I have all the even numbers now.
Oh, okay.
T10. Yeah. No, I think it was 6th place. Yeah.
Okay.
But Ojamajo Doremi, Magical Doremi was one of the first anime that I've watched.
Oh.
And yeah, it like I've carried it and carried whatever I learned from that anime. And I will probably continue to carry it for the rest of my life because it really helped me a lot during my childhood. So, when I saw the Hello Happy collab, I was like, I have to tier this. I really want to tier this. So that ended up happening. And the event story was really, really cute and nice. And I think everybody should read it. But yeah, experience-wise, that event was interesting.
Well, it was delayed for a while, quite a while.
Delayed. Yeah, and honestly, like I don't know. I think it was woke. I don't remember much, but
it definitely was.
I think it was woke because
it was a competitive like T10, because there are like events that have competitive podiums, but like a competitive podium doesn't mean that the T10 is competitive as well. But that one was.
I actually was gonna go for a podium for that event, but things happened and I ended up not being able to. But it was competitive because of the free cans. Because
the return rate in that event was like the return rate if you tiered that event was ridiculous. I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically it was like you were tiering an event for at least half the price, relatively speaking. So
more than half the price.
Yeah,
I think I don't think I even spent that much in that event. Like I got back almost everything that I spent in cans. So that was nice because I used it for my next T10, the Fan Road event with Pareo and Eve. So yeah, but the title is nice. Some titles are really cute. But some titles I feel like are a bit lacking personally.
That gives me a question I want to ask you guys just because I'm curious.
Okay.
Do either of you guys have a title that you think is ugly or that you don't like?
I have to think about that. Maybe the viewers could also, the live viewers could contribute as well.
Definitely.
If you have anything. But
if it's a T10, it's actually the Hello Happy collab. I don't think it's ugly. I just think it's tiny. they could have made it better. But other than that, I think all of my other titles I adore, especially Sai Beyond the Rain.
That one's so pretty.
I love that title. I love that title so much.
Yeah. My ugly title is like it's like the ugly stepchild. It's a day off downtown, the shopping district event. I got T10 in that event, and God, I just think the title's so ugly. And I still wanted to, like, I wasn't gonna not tier the event and do what I was gonna do because the title is ugly, but I do at the end of the day think it's not a very aesthetically pleasing title.
Yeah, I think the one that comes up to the top of my head, I think, is the it might be the My Own Texture one. Not necessarily because the title is ugly, but I think the way that they did the logo was like a little odd. Yeah, it was a little odd. I think that one, like, off the top of my head, I think a lot of people when they first saw the logo was like, what happened? Like, what did they do?
That's always kind of like when there's an event that you really want to tier or that you're planning for in the future, you kind of like have to hold your breath to see what the English title's gonna look like. Look as good as this, you know, because I don't even think that the shopping district one was that bad, like the Japanese title, and then it just, I don't know what happened to it.
Some people drop events just because they see the English title and they're like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. This title's ugly. I'm like, really?
That's why I bring it up, because during Slow Summer, like Amy-san, who was in my competition, like my T1, she tiered the event, not because like Cow Eve, like her best girls, but because she loved the title so much. She thought it was the prettiest title ever. And so I know that that's like a very, very important point to some people. So that was why I asked.
No, I wouldn't tier because the title is pretty. That's not like enough reason for me.
Some people do
I respect that.
I respect that. I respect that hustle. That is definitely something. It's like an exclusivity. Be like, oh, if I could get that title just specifically and be like that, because there's only one person who could have a T1 or a T2 or a T3. So. Yeah, maybe, but yeah, for me, no. You know, to me, the title is it's a nice JPEG, but the experience definitely is more important for sure. But again, our listeners out there can certainly contribute. Maybe they have their different opinions, so we'd love to hear from you. So, hey everyone, it's Phil here. Hope you enjoyed the episode so far. As a reminder, the RePHIL Studio podcast is available on all of your favorite platforms. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and make sure to give that high rating or the thumbs up whenever you do, because helping the podcast increase its reach to other viewers is greatly appreciated. In terms of other content, check out my VODs channel, the card description above. Consider subscribing to check out other content. And also, if you want to be a part of the content, join the Anga Academy Discord server, links in the description below, where you can contribute to the studio question every week and interact with special guests featured on the podcast. So looking forward to seeing you there. Last but certainly not least, a big shout outs to all of my Filler Nation members who've been constantly supporting me in my content. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and you get shout outs on pretty much every podcast episode. So thank you so much for your support. If you really like my content and would like to support me, join the Filler Nation by either subscribing to my Twitch channel or by joining my Patreon. Links in the description below. There's also a new feature. You can give us super thanks through my YouTube, so you could do that as well. Any support is greatly appreciated. Let's get back to the episode. Again, Sunny, I was just going to ask you a bit of your other T10s. You already pretty much dabbled a bit into it. And also, I just want to mention as well, just as a funny coincidence, that because you got all the even number titles and your favorite character is Eve, like, it's not a, might be a coincidence, but wow. But maybe not. Maybe it's fate. You know?
Yeah, I think it just ended up working out that way.
It just ended up, yeah.
So do you have like 2, 4, 2, 6, 8, 10? Do you have 4? Do you have all of everyone?
I have all of the even numbers, so
wow.
2, 4, 6, 8, and 10.
All right, well, there's Eve. They're Eve power. The Eve in power.
Eve,
so
Eve power. Yeah.
Is there anything else you recall about any of those other T10 titles that in particular that you're like, oh yeah, that's a pretty fun story to share?
Let me think.
No worries.
I think it was Fan Road because I was just going for T10. I wasn't even thinking about podium. But during the last 2-3 days, I decided to go for it, and I zoomed so hard. And with Fan Road and Side Beyond the Rain, I was pubbing because they were VS lives, and honestly, if I can pub, I'll just pub. It's just easier. But with Fan Road, I was pubbing with my friend Al, and some of our friends would jump in and help us sometimes, but it was mainly me and Al. And at the last 2 days, I was like, you know what? This is kind of doable. Let me do it. And I went hard, and it was just me and another person in the room. Sometimes Al would jump in. They even almost broke their park goal just to help me out, but that didn't end up happening. I ended up dropping the idea because I just wasn't prepared enough. I was really tired and sleepy, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. But hey, I still got the 4th place, so I was pretty happy.
That's fair. Yeah. And again, it's the boat, but again, you take a positive spin at it, and I think it's a pretty memorable experience for you regardless. It's pretty neat to hear that you seem to kind of lean towards pubbing for VS Lives. That's it's pretty. You did that for June Bride. You VS Live you pubbed some of the podiums as well. It's quite interesting. Interesting tactic for sure.
It is because it's really easy because you don't have to worry much about efficiency if it's just you and another person. You're 2 manning in the room because. For the Poppin' Party Valentine event, our friend group, we just snagged T10 all together. It was just 5-6 of us, and I ended up getting T50, and Matsu ended up getting T50 as well, and Noodle. But yeah, Ronnie ended up getting 3rd place, and we were just pubbing.
We were literally it was our group of friends playing. So definitely, if anyone wants to tier a Versus Live event, you should tier it because it's a great opportunity.
It is.
And you also get the free cans, so.
That's true.
VS Lives are everyone's beloved. Except like the general public. I think a lot of people don't like the general player don't like VS Live because like they feel pressured that they have to like win, and I don't know.
I used to. It's interesting though because in my early career, quote unquote, I used to hate Versus Live. Like I tiered it was the Home Street event. It was the one Popipa event, and I'm pretty sure that was the Versus Live. Was it? I feel like it was. But there was an event that I was aiming for, T10 early on, that I got voted from. FYI, T11. But I just remember I hated that, and I think that it's because when you're in a big tiering server, and you have like multiple people tier, it's actually harder to tier in a group with people who have all of these like high goals, or I guess where you're trying to like fight multiple servers, or you have competition, just because you end up fighting against each other in the room, So I think that was why I like really disliked them, because I was just like, I want us all to be able to, do what we're doing and get through. But then like as that ended up changing, because as I kind of just like settled into the friend group that I had now or whatever, we just always, would be like, I'd have friends who'd just be like, oh yeah, like I'll doormat for you, what, and it was, I like if someone is like a low energy person, or maybe doesn't want to take like the steps to be as social as to go into a tiering server, or maybe doesn't know as many people in the community, like if you just have a couple people that you're cheering with, or even if you just like pub, it's just, it's very low energy. Like you don't have to worry about communicating like too much with the, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. So I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah,
And
that's
also because you can just start the room with 2. Like,
Yes.
even if you don't have
Yes.
5 people, it's okay. You can start with 2. And also, like, as you go on, you realize that getting first or second or third place doesn't really matter much if you're efficient enough. If you're getting enough games per hour, you can actually overcome the gap. If your opponent, your competitor is getting first place consistently, if they're not efficient. So at the end of the day, honestly, it is up to efficiency more than what you get.
Yeah, it's
Unless
just
you have a really bad team.
yeah, that sucks. But even if you have an awful team, if you have someone who's purposefully doormatting for you, that can still, yeah. So like, I just no, but that is my favorite thing about it is you can 2-man it and feasibly 2-man it. You know, it's the only event where you can do that. Like I can't even recall how many different events I've 2-manned with Snips because Snips tends to just always tier versus lives, which I love. For him, but I really like that aspect of them.
That's fair.
And I mean, I can't really hate VS Lives when I'm a Pastberry fan because June Bride was a VS Live, Savi on the Rain, Fan Road, Valentine Hina Maya was a VS Live, Summer Pastberry was a VS Live. So Pastberry has a lot of VS Lives, so I really can't really hate them.
Yep. Well, that's a pretty fun conversation about VS Lives and such. So again, maybe newer tiers, if you're maybe a bit scared or worried about VS Lives and how to perform there, it's okay. You could definitely try it out and you'll realize that it's a bit different, but still pretty fun experience. I also do quite like VS Lives, more so for the fun rewards and the beautiful time you get to spend with Marina at the end. So so we're gonna wrap up with one final story, and Sunny, of course, as your biggest accomplishment yet, you got second place, and that this is an Idol Saga event. But talk about kind of like the process at the start, right? Like you've only gotten basically T10 so far, and then now you wanted basically to aim for first place in that event. So first of all, I guess same thing. Like, what was the reasoning? What did you do to prepare? Like, were you nervous at all going into that event?
So I actually did win a tier that event before, not necessarily podium, but I just wasn't sure where I was gonna be with like my life because it would have been right after I graduated, so I wouldn't have known if I was back at my parents' place or if I was still living alone. So I wasn't really sure. But once the date got closer, I was like, you know what, maybe this is possible. So again, meal prepping, buying all the snacks that you can get, and making sure everything in your real life is set so you can just play uninterrupted for a week or so. But the event ended up being pretty short. So that was really nice. But it was before I started work full time, so I was free. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this. And I watched Zombieland, and honestly, it was such a good anime. It is such a good anime. Like, everybody should watch it. And I was like, you know what? I already have Hello Happy collab. Might as well do the Pastberry one as well.
Yeah.
So there was like quite a lot of reasons, but I'm really glad I got to do it.
Okay, well, it seemed like it wasn't like a very like you didn't prepare for that long, like almost like a year in advance. It was like a relatively recent sort of decision that you wanted to do that. So when it came to like building the server, gaining support, well, was that challenging at all, or did you find it to be like very very fluent when all the support came in and such?
Well, before that, I regularly play in servers anyway when I can. And so when I do, I'll post my server in the server portal. And I asked you, Phil, in order to post the server link as well here. So just really sharing it everywhere and letting my friends know, like, hey, I'm going for this. I'd appreciate it if you can just come in, join, and let's have some fun in tier. But it could be hard if you're intimidated about sharing your link and like the server link, or even like posting about it in the server portal. But honestly, it's not really that hard. Like you can just ask around. You can even DM friends and tell them like, hey, I'm going for this. If anybody else is going for this, let me know and they can join me. Or it certainly does help having a friend group already in the community and knowing people in the community, because I've been cheering for quite some time. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And Matsuri, of course, when you heard about Sunny going for like a possible T1, what was your thoughts about that, and what did you do to try and make support her through that goal?
I as long as she was excited and wanted to do it, I was excited for her, because at the end of the day, in terms of like my friends, I just always want them to do what they want to do and what they're comfortable with. And so if she was going to do that, I was 110% going to support her in every way that I could. And yeah, the biggest thing I guess that I wanted to do for her is just be there. Of course, not like physically, but just my presence, be there. Even if I couldn't fill at certain times, just be a message away, or whatever. Or at least if I couldn't handle something, I could redirect it to someone to get it handled. Because when you're tearing that high and you're going whatever day, it just you get so exhausted, and it just really I can't stress enough how much it helps to have people who will just like do little things for you, like, hey, can you tell so and so this, or like, oh, can you find someone for this for me, just like, because you're trying to spend all of your energy on reaching your goal when you're trying for a competitive first place. And so I just wanted, my biggest thing was like, even if I couldn't fill all the time, which I couldn't, by the way, because I couldn't get into the game. Anyway,
I love Android. I love Vain Dream and Android.
Yeah, I was able to fill for her for like the first 2 days, I think, and then it just kept whatever. Anyway, so I just wanted to be able to do what I could, even through those circumstances. So that was my biggest thing, is I just wanted to like help her in those ways.
Yeah, that reminds me. Also, getting good mods is very important. Especially with like big servers. I didn't expect the server, like my server, to get that big, but I guess it was inevitable because I was sharing it everywhere. So but definitely getting good mods is very important. People who can do those little things for you and just handle things that maybe, for example, somebody is not really efficient in the room and you can ask them to go to G2. You can have a mod, fill in the meantime while you find somebody else to fill that gap. Or even not being able to find any fills during dead hours, having a mod help coordinate that, or merging rooms, stuff like that. So really, honestly, like I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I did without my mods, to be honest.
Yep, for sure. Having a support system to help with managing the server, because obviously you trying to go for doing T1 hours, you can't also moderate the server and check everything all at the same time, right? All the focus is on Unite from A to Z. So
it's a lot of energy.
It's definitely. Matsuri, you mentioned the amount of long hours you have to put in, Sunny, in order to go for that goal. So I imagine for you, like playing those long hours, probably a lot more than the T10. So imagine they were a bit more, even more challenging, maybe the most challenging event to date for you.
Probably it wasn't that hard.
Okay, fair.
like the aspect of like not being able to sleep and whatever. Honestly, if I get a good routine, even if it's just getting a nap here and there, like the sleepiness wasn't an issue. It was more so managing things, and also what do you call it? Physically exhausted. Like it wasn't just like the sleepiness, it was just like me mentally and physically getting exhausted, my hands getting tired, dropping efficiency. But honestly, like, I didn't actually drop efficiency that badly. Like, I played special for at least 80% of the event, which was really nice. I didn't drop the normal until at the end of it. But even then, like, it would be like a couple of hours, and then I'll be able to gain back energy to play special again. So, yeah, it was just the mental aspect of it. It's just honestly, like, 80% of tiering is mental.
Yeah.
No, it's a big. It's even if you can pull the long hours, you can pull the sleepless nights, like the whatever, you have the resources, like you have the fills, like it's a big mental thing. Like, honestly, like if you're not in the right headspace, like, because you have to think on top of how you're feeling in come 2 days, you're going to be sleep deprived on top of whatever mentality you're carrying, and so that's just going to compound that. So it's just that's a big factor of it too.
It is. And like, especially like with like my event and the T2, I was consistently 2-2 for, I think I never really actually like got first place like in any point of the event. And
you were right behind though. It was so
I
close.
was right behind. I was so close. I was so close, yeah. But I do remember like one person telling me like, why don't you just stop? Like,
no, screw that.
Honestly, don't listen to those people. Just keep going. Keep going.
Do what you want to do.
What you want to do. You want to pull until the end. You want to keep them fighting. You want to keep going. And honestly, like, some people will be like, if you're banking on the competitor to end up crashing, you've already lost. I don't really agree with that. I feel like at the end of the day, do whatever makes you happy and comfortable and just makes you feel fulfilled. Because if I felt like at the end of the event that, you know what, if I didn't give up at that point, or if I did harder, like if I went harder at this point, honestly, I probably would regret it, and I didn't want to have any regrets. So I've ignored every person who have told me, just drop it, or just stop playing or stop wasting money or whatever. At the end of the day, it's I chose to do this, and honestly, I wouldn't have stopped if the goddamn Ontario storm didn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
So it was 6 a.m. I still remember it was 6 a.m. and suddenly, like the night before, like there was a storm going and everything, and then it was me and I was in BC with somebody. Suddenly I hear a big boom, and so apparently like some generator or something blew up on like my area, and the power went off, and the service went off too. So I couldn't use data, and I couldn't charge my iPad. Nothing worked. And Starbucks wasn't opening until 7 a.m. I ran into Matsu's VC because she was awake at the time. I was like, "Hey, can you call Starbucks for me?"
Yeah, I'm
like when they're opening
coffee shops. I'm looking up like all these places near side to figure out where she can go.
And then
it was crazy.
Place about it was that Monday. It was a public holiday, so like the places were going to close early or they're going to open really late. So I was like, man, I'm screwed. And so I took a 2-hour nap, and then the power was still not back, and Wi-Fi was still not back, and data was not back yet. Okay, and then I was like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I go to Starbucks? But at that time, I was going for more than 24 hours. My body couldn't handle walking or even going to Starbucks.
Going out in public and venturing there.
And venturing there, I don't think I would have handled it. And so after crying, I was like, you know what? Nope. Mother Nature said nope, so I'm just gonna stop here. And so I took another nap, and then the power was back, but Wi-Fi didn't come back until later in the day. So I was using data, but data was wonky. And so, yeah, but it's okay. Next time, hopefully, Mother Nature won't get in the way.
Boy.
That's where my T1 attempt ended. But I still kept going because my T10s still were fighting the pubber. And so, I still helped, and I even like zero flamed some games to help my T10s get their secure their goals. But honestly, like at the end of the event, I felt fulfilled because I did whatever I could. I even thought of going to Starbucks with zero sleep, but yeah, I tried my best, and honestly, that's what mattered to me in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, very inspiring story, Sunny. Again, just hearing about how there were so many obstacles against you, right? Maybe it could be the doubters, or it could be even Mother Nature of all things, right? But you did what you could to persevere. You still fought all the way to the end, and made it a very pleasant experience. And I'm sure, again, you have a lot of your friends to thank on that, right? The support system you have is definitely very. It's very important, right, for your mental physique to maybe help find when the nearest Starbucks opens. Like, it's very important to have a very strong support system for your touring adventure.
Yeah.
Well, again, big congratulations to you, Sunny, on that. That will be a T2. Maybe you'll break that even title streak and T10 plus. We'll hear a T1 in the future, but for the time being, again, big congrats on that achievement. And at the end of the day, I honestly think that it's just quite amazing to hear just how strong you are in terms of like the physical side of tiering and like the mental side. I know like people like they honestly become zombies when they tier, right? Like they're like caffeined and like they're just so sleep deprived. It didn't sound that bad for you, other than of course the stress that the storm gave you and such, and at that point. But it definitely sounded like you had things handled a lot better than maybe others who maybe try to go for a similar achievement. So.
Yeah, and going off that note, I just want to say to anyone listening, don't drag yourself into the ground tiering, please. IRL is always your priority. Just do what you can, do what you want to, yes, but do what you can and don't feel bad about it, because humans aren't made to sit for 40 hours and tap their screens. So just, do what you can and be happy about that, because you're still getting to play the game.
Exactly. Sure. And I didn't get to where I am today in terms of stamina in like a day or a night. Like it took a while, because I do remember I wasn't able to do T100 like we mentioned at the beginning. T100s was a big mountain to overcome, but now I can easily do them. So it takes a lot of time. And also at the end of the day, like don't compromise your health, your physical health, in order to get a title, no matter how enticing could be, or even if you want to prove yourself to others. Like there will be other opportunities.
For sure.
They will come, because even at the time I thought, there's no way I could do another podium after Zombieland, but I am totally going for it.
Yeah.
It will take a lot of maneuvering, but I will be able to do it. And so just don't give up the hope, and you'll be able to do it one day.
For sure. And again, thank you again for sharing such a fun story about your tiering experience. Again, big congratulations on you for that. And we'll talk about your future events and what you plan to do in the future very soon. We'll be wrapping up this episode very shortly, but before we do, I do want to ask a studio question to our live listeners right now, as well as to the both of you. And we have a studio question every week that we discuss on every episode. And just a fun question that we could just discuss and see what we have. Now, it's kind of funny because we had a pretty big discussion about VS Lives, and it was a pretty cool discussion, and just show why VS Lives is so cool. So I didn't really plan that, but the question that I had planned is actually kind of similar to that, but in the opposite perspective. And the studio question is, if you could permanently remove one event type from the game, which one would it be and why? So it's a complete opposite. Yeah, so it's not VS Live, obviously. That's the wrong answer.
That's correct. That is the wrong answer.
That is the wrong answer. Yeah.
So we already have people screaming medley in the live chat right now. I don't know if any of you two have any similar opinions or different opinions.
Matsu, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Okay, I feel like if you've been a tier for a long while, like I'm seeing some people in the chat say melody, which is actually really surprising to me because I feel like I don't know. I feel like a lot of us were like really excited for that, but maybe you just don't like, now that it's come to fruition, maybe you don't like how it turned out. But I know if you've tiered for a while, I feel like everyone's answer is Challenge Live. But that's actually not my answer. And that might sound crazy because like Slow Summer was a Challenge Live. And like, I mean, I at one point burned, I don't even remember how much CP on normal because I was dying. And like that is just like an experience. But I don't know. I'm fond of chaos, and so I kind of like it. Like I kind of like how you're accumulating CP while you're playing, and then you get to the point where you're just like, oh, burning it, and you shoot up, and I don't know. It's interesting, and it also makes them harder to track. So I think that's a neat aspect of it. I don't really. I'll let Sunny go and talk. I'm gonna think about it while she talks, though.
Angrily screams Challenge Live. My God! So the recent Challenge Live, right? I had the perfect team for it. I probably would have gotten all T100 songs, but I forgot to burn my CP the last day because I always leave it till the last day. That's my fault. I know. But honestly, like, just if you're working and you have a lot going on and you play a lot of games, you just forget your CP. Like, I've always forgotten to burn my CP. It's always been the thing, and it's been frustrating. I mean, if I'm not tiering T100, if I'm tiering T100, I would actively burn it, you know? But if I'm not really, like just casually T1K or T2K, then I'll just forget about it. It's just so frustrating because I had the perfect team. But with medley lives, honestly, whales and people who have been playing for a while, they're pretty relatively easy because you pretty much have most of the cards that you need. So as a whale, I actually love medley lives. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
As a whale.
Yeah. It seems like the consensus is either Challenge Lives or medley lives. I kind of like Challenge Lives in the spectacle aspect. It's like really entertaining to watch the whole thing just go down and watch people's like points go new. But obviously in the tier perspective, it's a little unfortunate. Medley Live, if you're really comfortable with pubbing, like, or not really pubbing, but just playing by yourself, like Medley Live is really just your own control. So I could see some people liking it. Other people be like, oh, well, if I didn't get gacha, or if I don't want to spend money because it's pretty expensive to get all the cards you need, then Medley Live could be a pretty bad choice. I think if team lives were only pubs, like the first couple of team lives we're getting, I think that's a pretty bad event because like there's just so much things you can't control. But I think now, like recent team live events, you can do private rooms, so they're a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe the correct answer is Mission Live, just because there's nothing special about it.
I was looking at the event types and I was like thinking of that because like goals, you have your neat little goals, you have the regular ones, and you have your expert ones that I know people like enjoy doing that. But like Mission, they're kind of just like, is nothing happening.
The only thing with Mission Lives is that every game you play, your points go super high up like immediately. So like your numbers like look nice. Yeah. 16 kids, like your numbers look really nice, but that's about it.
I mean, and also because didn't Mission Lives replace normal events?
They basically did. Yeah.
Because there used to be just like and I was fine with normal events. I liked them, and then they eventually like kind of rotated like base events out, and then that kind of like replaced them.
Yeah. If Mission Lives, I think, had like maybe more prizes, That'd be pretty cool. And also,
Yeah.
like, you know, for some people hate parking and mission lives. I think it's okay. It's a little weird, but yeah, parking and mission lives kind of sucks.
Yeah.
No,
So-
it's easy.
It is pretty
ended
easy.
up
I think it's pretty
parking
easy, but
because of one of your videos, like with like parking. I was like, it was during Viva.
yeah.
I didn't know how to park, and I ended up finding your video and I parked. And since then, it's been super easy to park. So
thank you for that. Without mission lives, that video wouldn't exist. So maybe I wouldn't delete mission lives.
yeah.
Either way, I don't know. I guess we had a pretty interesting discussion, and but I don't know. Well, I think the general consensus would be probably either medley or challenge. And again, anyone of the viewers out there who are listening right now, feel free to share your thoughts as well. So we'll wrap up. And again, for the both of you, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for the RePHIL Studio. Just before we go, please feel free to share any last words, final shout outs, and also some future events that you plan to do. So perhaps our listeners out here can share your support, show support for you later down the road. So Matsuri, we'll start with you. Future events, what you plan to do, and shout outs and final words.
So, as you all know, Kaoru got her first banner in 3.5 years. So, Kit and I are going to be tiering that, next, which is literally next event. So, if you guys want to come hang out with us, I'll drop like a perm link to Phil, and I'll have him share that with you. So, whatever your goals are, if you want to come hang out, feel free to do that. We're just going to be chilling, spending some good time together. Kit and I are actually both going for T1 in the same server, so super friendly competition there. It'll be fun. Other than that, I'm gonna tier the Hello Happy Halloween event, because I tier every Halloween event.
Nice.
But I'm just gonna go T10 for that though. I don't even know if there's a server or not, but I'll be tiering it.
That should be a
medley.
Yeah, it's medley. So that's the first medley live in the game.
Go perfect. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
See, that just show. I didn't even know that, but I tier every Halloween event. So
well, that works out for you. So make sure you have your whale Hello Happy team.
All right, yeah, got that unpacked. But yeah, other than that, the next cow band, I plan on, just like in the future to come, I think that my focus is going to be Halloween events, and then whatever Kaoru content the craft egg wants to give us. So yeah, I would like to have every placing in a T10, and I think I'm missing, I think 4th or so. I don't know. I'm missing one of the T10 spots. So I plan to probably get that during like a Halloween event, something like that, because I would probably tier higher for Kaoru. But yeah, that's what I have planned down the road.
And hopefully don't build that T11 space that we talked about last time. All right. Well, all the best, Matsuri, in that. And of course, by the time the YouTube listeners, podcast listeners are listening to this podcast, this episode, the event is either basically starting like the following day or already started. So definitely make sure to join the Young Academy Discord server if you want to meet with special guests that are featured in the podcast, and share your support. Yeah. Sunny, what about you? Final words, shout outs, future events do you want to do?
Future events, I was actually gonna go for the Eve banner, the upcoming one, but I don't think I'd be able to get PTO in time. But the Pastori wedding, the medley next year, that will be my second T1 attempt.
Okay,
and I've already started preparing for that. So that's exciting. It's a medley, so solo, nice.
Yep. All by yourself, but obviously you'll probably you'll have people to support you around in terms of like VC and such, but in terms of like how quickly you move through the rooms and get score, that's all dependent on you. So
final thoughts, honestly, in regards to the community, I feel like nowadays tiering itself changed a lot from when it was in 2020 and 2019.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like don't really get swayed too much with people who try to discourage you from going for any tier that you'd like to go for. Say a T1. It's okay if you fail. There's always going to be a next time. Even if it's not the perfect event that you've hoped for, it will be another event that you would like and you can aim for. So when it comes to not getting the tier that you want, there's always going to be a next time. Don't push yourself too hard. Don't jeopardize your health for it. Don't basically try to, I don't know, like not take care of your real life stuff, because real life comes first. And also just reach out to me or Matsu if you want tiering tips. We're always going to be there to help. I know I'm very quiet nowadays. I'm just busy with work and stuff, so I'm not really active in the community. But anything, honestly, doormat, whatever you want, I'm here for that.
Yeah, no, for real. And I also like appreciate what you're doing, Phil, because I kind of feel like you've kind of like taken the place that I was in early in the community in terms of like directing people and giving them resources. And I am a lot quieter nowadays, but that doesn't mean I'm not still around. So I like how, you know, like even I've had people come to me from you. And I think that that's really cool, because I'm always still down to talk and whatever, just, you know, a lot quieter nowadays. So I think that what you're doing is like awesome, giving resources to people and, you know, just giving them like a platform to chat on and everything.
Oh, well, thank you for the kind words as well. And and again, Sunny, thank you for the great advice and guidance as well. And of course, all the best in your medley live as well. Pretty fun medley live challenges for both of you. So maybe by next time we speak, both of you will be T1 medley live havers. So we'll see how that goes for sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, good. Well, again, for both of you, thank you so much for taking the time to join the studio today. Of course, thank you to our live viewers as well for listening. Of course, feel free to check out the RePHIL Studio podcast, available on all of your favorite platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And of course, feel free to join the Young Academy Discord server, as mentioned before, to interact with special guests and also contribute to the studio lounge and contribute to the discussion during the podcast. So until then, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. The set has been complete, so make sure to get those cans ready on the next refill. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.